Well, good evening and welcome back, everyone, to continuing 12 News coverage of Decision 2020. And if you think back to the earliest days of the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary, and if you ask people all the way back then, do you think that on election night 2020 that we'll have contested elections all over the country? I think there's a lot of people that would have probably said, yeah, maybe we will. And sure enough, as we sit here tonight, one night after the election, we still don't know who the president will be.
Yeah, and Mark, there's a little bit of backtracking because yesterday on election night, the Associated Press calling Arizona for Joe Biden. He was up. He had a pretty sizable lead yesterday, and the Associated Press calling for him now seems to be a little premature because, as we know now, there are a lot of ballots that still need to be counted. In fact, hundreds of thousands of ballots that still need to be counted. And we're actually awaiting for some of the new results to come in as a good chunk of those ballots will be counted. And then we're expecting later on tonight that another chunk of those ballots will be counted. And so we'll have some new results then.
They won't be huge vote dumps, as we call them, but they will nonetheless be enough to maybe make some changes. For some perspective on what we can expect in the next few minutes, and of course we'll be staying on the air until we get those new numbers, let's check in with Team 12's Bram Resnick.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Right now we know there are 600,000 outstanding ballots statewide. Maricopa has 420,000 of them. What are these ballots? They're the ballots that were received just at the end of the election weekend on the Sunday or the Monday. They have not been counted yet, and the early ballots that were dropped off at vote centers on Tuesday. Those historically, there's nothing new here, this is all perfectly normal. Historically, those always get counted on the Wednesday after the election. Literally, they count the number of actual ballots they have before the actual counting of the ballots. In other words, who did this person vote for? Before that can begin, you need to have the signature verified, some other things have to happen, and then those ballots can go to the tabulator. Tonight, we're expecting to get about 70,000 ballots, so 70,000 of the 420,000 in Maricopa County that are still outstanding. What makes it interesting and what makes it difficult at the same time is we don't know exactly where these ballots are from in Maricopa County. I've read some research that indicates most of the ballots in the Maricopa County batch, the 420,000, are Republican, about double the number of Democrats, and about double the number of independents. But tonight, we won't know where these are from. So it doesn't necessarily tell you whether the candidate's getting his votes or somebody else, or whether he's getting Democratic votes or Republican votes. In fact, this whole exercise of 600,000 plus ballots out there is just kind of a big unknown. We spoke last night of the change in voting habits, how Republicans are voting later and Democrats voting earlier. We saw that in the day of the in-person voting totals. Donald Trump won those big. Republicans showed up at the polls. Democrats won the early vote before Election Day. They got the message their party was sending out, which was vote now. So a lot of moving parts within these numbers. What's interesting is many of the organizations that look to call a race that still haven't called a race, for example, NBC, Chuck Todd on NBC earlier this evening said, these numbers may determine whether NBC calls a race. We know calling a race is controversial. We're seeing protests spring up right now here in Phoenix about that. But it helps viewers to understand and all of us to understand exactly where this race is going and the road to 270, which is paramount for everybody. And I'll send it back to you because I think we got the results.
Oh.
Am I right? No, not yet? Okay.
I was wondering, Bram, what do you think it was that the Associated Press saw them to make them make that call so early last night?
I'll be honest, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Again, having gone through many elections here, yes, voting habits changed, but one thing doesn't change. We always have a large overhang of ballots. It's the way our elections are structured. We allow people to vote, to bring in early ballots till the very last minute. We don't cut off early ballots, say, a week before or a few days before. like some counties or other jurisdictions do. So, given that, AP, an organization like AP, I think should know that and know the pitfalls you may fall into if you call a race too soon.
Yeah.
And now I understand we do have some new numbers coming in. Okay, so we're going to do a little math here. So it looks like Donald Trump gained 31,000 votes. And, that's Joe Biden gained 31,000, and Donald Trump gained about 44,000. So a win for Donald Trump tonight in this first batch of about 75,000 ballots. He is up 10,000. He cuts 13,000, and he cuts Joe Biden's lead to. Help me out with the math here, boys.
I don't know.
Thank
I'm
you.
not good enough to do
I know.
I'll honestly, I'm pretty good at math, but boy, we've been working long hours these days.
I know. We're all
So he cut Joe Biden's lead from 93,000 to 80,000.
80,000.
And these are the new numbers in the Senate race, too.
In the Senate race, let's take a look. Looks like 30,000 more for Mark Kelly. That is correct. 40,000 more for Martha McSally. And that's interesting because if you look at the Kelly raw number, the McSally raw numbers, and the Donald Trump raw numbers, they pretty much track. And the votes tonight they each received pretty much track.
Last night, Bram, President Trump addressed the nation, and he specifically talked about Arizona. And he said, even though the ballots all hadn't been counted, he said that he thought there was, quote, a lot of life still left in Arizona. Do you see that being true at this point?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what he meant. I know Doug Ducey, from reading, Doug Ducey has been in his ear telling him there are a lot more votes out there. They could be your votes. Hang in there. I'm assuming that's what he meant. The counting isn't over. Ironic, given that he's trying to stop the counting in other states. Doug Ducey is our governor, telling him to keep the county going here.
But at some point you run out of real estate, and it does, as you pointed out last night, come down to math. And at some point, the math just is not going to work in your favor.
That's correct. I'm trying to do some quick math here because the math for Donald Trump is he has to get 3 out of every 2 votes.
2 out of every 3 votes.
You see what long hours do to the brain?
We
Not good.
We want to
not
remind
good.
everyone, we were up until, 1:30 last night on the air or something like that?
Well, I was up till 4:30, couldn't
Oh, you're
sleep,
up till
but
4:30.
Don't cry for me. So he has to get 2 out of every 3 votes coming in to tie Joe Biden.
Right. And I think that there are probably a lot of Republicans out there, not only in Arizona, but across the country, that are hoping that somehow we will see another, Dewey beats Truman situation where the paper so famously printed in advance too early that Dewey beats Truman. And then once all the votes were counted, of course, Truman had won the election. The way the numbers are going now, it doesn't appear, and anything's possible because nothing's done yet in the battleground states that are left, it doesn't appear that that's going to be the case.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that yet. Donald Trump tonight hit his mark. 58% of the vote went to Donald Trump. That's where he needs to be to hang in there, but he needs to be there every single time. He can't fall back. And
Well,
if you look
it had to be perfect for him, and I don't know that it was the perfect scenario for him last night
no,
or today.
No, certainly not. Certainly not. But again, this first one is good. There's going to be one every night, likely through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'll point out one thing. The way the county works is today, the Wednesday, is usually the smallest vote dump, as we call it. They tend to get larger as time goes on, as the county they regroup on the Wednesday. They do a lot of counting. They got to do a lot of ballot prepping. And then as they do that, they begin to get ahead of steam, and you will see more ballots being counted as we head into the weekend. Would not surprise me to see this race done by Sunday, because the county can count much faster now with the new tabulating machines they have.
Does Donald Trump need Arizona?
From the Road to 270 simulations I've seen Steve Kornacki do, I don't think he does. In fact, he said last night during that speech you referred to, Mark, he says, Arizona, we don't need it. Okay.
It'd be nice to have, but we don't need it.
Right. So he doesn't necessarily, but boy, there aren't many pieces on that chessboard left right now.
All right, and if you turn around, Bram, we're looking at a graphic of Prop 208, which is for education funding.
Okay, Prop 208, the Invest in Ed Act, which would create a new revenue stream for K-12 education. Its lead has shrunk over the last 24 hours, now down to 52% to 48%. Again, a sign that more of those Republican votes from yesterday, day of vote, are coming in. And tonight, a lead for Republicans on the Republican side of the ledger. 52-48 would increase K-12 revenues by taxing us with the surtax on individuals who earn, married couples who earn more than $400,000. This race looks to be static. Arizona's first congressional district, Tom Halloran, the two-term incumbent, 52%. Tom Halloran, Democrat. Tiffany Shedd, the Republican, trailing with 48%. And there you have it. And wow, this is a shocker. David Schweikert, five-term Congressman David Schweikert, scandal-plagued Congressman David Schweikert in District 6, Scottsdale, Fountain Hills, has now pulled ahead of his Democratic opponent, Hiro Tipernini. Last night, when we first posted this, it was 52-48 for Tipernini. That was a shock. I put up upset alert. It looks like, again, the Republican votes are coming in, and they're boosting David Schweikert to the point where it's even, although he is leading by 3,000 votes, a little less than 3,000 votes. Could be a sign of things to come. Another race that had a much wider margin last night. Christine Marsh, Democrat, in her second try against Senator Kate Brophy-McGee, Republican. That's now narrowed to 52-48. And what's really interesting, we thought we might see a blue wave this year. Last night, we kept talking about the blue mirage. It turns out it was a mirage in many of these races, and in the Schweikert one in particular. We'll have to see if Christine Marsh, Democrat, can hold on to her lead in District 28. A key pickup for Democrats if they want to flip the state legislature, the state Senate, to Democratic control. Another flip. See, we see the pattern tonight. Could be the red dawn tonight after the blue mirage yesterday. J.D. Mesnard, longtime Republican lawmaker, now leading first-time candidate A.J. Kurdoglu by 3,000, less than 3,000 votes, 51% to 49%. That's one seat Democrats hope to pick up in the Senate that appears to be off the table. This one really appears to be off the table. Felicia French and Wendy Rogers. Wendy Rogers, in her sixth run for office in this decade, lost the first five. It looks like she's going to win this one in northern Arizona's District 6 Senate seat, 54% to 46% against Democrat Felicia French. That trend looks like it might be hard to stop. This race got a lot more interesting. Walt Blackman in the District 6, Northern Arizona, centered around Flagstaff. Walt Blackman, incumbent, 28% of the vote, leading. Brenda Barton moving into that second seat. You vote for two House seats. Brenda Barton making a comeback. She looks like she is now in second place. Coral Evans, out of the money right now. She was in second last night. She's now out of the money at 26%, trailing Brenda Barton, though, by just a little over 200 votes. So plenty of time to catch up there. District 20, Northwest Valley. Judy Schweibert's first-time candidate, high school teacher, Democrat, consistently leading this race. Again, the margins are shrinking. She's at 36% of the vote. Shauna Bullock, incumbent lawmaker, she's at 33%. Anthony Kern right now is on the sidelines at 31%. He has a lot of catching up to do. He is almost 2,000 votes behind Shauna Bullock, so that's an unusual one where you see Judy Schweibert holding her lead. Kathy Connect has now fallen to third. We are watching her as a potential takeaway in District 21 in the Northwest Valley. She is now in third. Former Peoria School Board member, incumbent Kevin Payne has one of the seats so far, and Beverly Pingarelli, a newcomer, has the other one. Looks like Pingarelli's pretty solid. The battle now between Payne and Connect, separated by about 660 votes. Could change, but pretty soon time will run out and the math has all the answers. John Kavanaugh has been solidly in the lead in District 23, Scottsdale Fountain Hills. For the last 24 hours, 36% of the vote. Newcomer Joseph Chaplik at 34%, and Eric Kurland, who had hoped to win this time around, a second run in District 23, Democrat, also an educator, in third. This is going to be tricky. You vote for 3 corporation commissioners. They decide your electric rates, your water rates. If you have a private provider, they decide what direction of solar in Arizona. So this is going to be tricky to see up here on the screen because they're separated. So it looks like Leah Marcus Peterson is 1. Can we go to the next plate, please? Anna Tovar has another seat. And O'Connor, go back to Jim O'Connor. We see Jim O'Connor again. And Jim O'Connor, who is a write-in candidate. After 2 Republicans were tossed off the ballot, they found Jim O'Connor as a write-in candidate, and it looks like right now he's in position to have one of the 3 seats. And it looks like it'll be one, right now it's 1 Democrat, 2 Republicans, so the Corporation Commission would stay in Republican control. What do we have next? Sheriff Paul Penzone, Maricopa County Sheriff Paul Penzone, ahead easily. You can say he's won this race, 57% to 43% over Jerry Sheridan, former Sheriff Joe Arpaio's number 2 man. Paul Penzone, watch this number, 933,000. He might be the first candidate in Maricopa County history to get 1 million votes. Interesting little historical footnote there. That happening as our registration just continues to climb.
There's a change right there.
There's another change. Julie Gunnigal and Alistair Adele. Alistair Adele pulling even. This was another 52 to 48 split favoring the Democrat last night. We just kept seeing this. And Alistair Adele is now, it's even in the percentages, but is still trailing Julie Gunnigal by 7,000 votes. Do have to take note of this, a sad part of this story. Alistair Adele had surgery last night for a brain bleed. She is in serious condition, but stable at a hospital, and we send her, the county attorney, our prayers. I'll send it back to you.
Bram, I just wanted to say Team 12's Michael Doudna says that the county recorder's office says that this last dump was 80,000 votes, more or less, and there are still 338,000 votes left to count there from Maricopa County, and he's saying that they are going to have another batch released at 11 p.m. tonight, except they don't know how many votes will be counted at that time.
Right. Yeah, they told me earlier they weren't sure when they were going to do it, but they're going to do it tonight. And I've heard 11, 10:30, 9:30, but it'll be later.
Right.
Okay.
And of course, the big race everyone continues to watch, the race for the White House, both in Arizona and nationally. Joe Biden maintaining a lead in Arizona, 51% to 48% with these new updated numbers. And it's all about that race to 270 electoral votes. Well, I think that does it for us.
I think that does it for now. Yeah, we'll wait till that next vote dump, which we know is going to come around 11 o'clock. But before that, you can catch us on 12 News at 10, of course. And then if that next vote dump happens after our 10:30 show, we're going to stick around. So we'll be back here on digital at 11 o'clock to bring those results to you live.